with Wichita State Shocker basketball head coach Gregg Marshall is brought to you by Patterson Legal Group. They're the good guys. And by Jacobs Liquor Exchange. Here's the voice of the Shockers, Mike Kennedy.
Welcome to AJ Sports Grill at the Alley for our regular Monday night get-together. We're at that time of the year when we have some overlap going on. We've had as many as 3 coaches' shows on a Monday night. Tonight, only one. We'll have Coach Gregg Marshall with us until about 7 o'clock, and then we'll go immediately from here to Tulsa for the women's basketball game between Wichita State and Tulsa. That is the final regular season game for the Shockers as the American Athletic Conference women's schedule comes to an end tonight, and then they'll all be headed to Uncasville, Connecticut for the women's tournament this coming weekend beginning on Saturday. Wichita State's women have done a tremendous job under first-year head coach Keitha Adams, now 7-6 in the conference after being picked 10th in the preseason poll. A winnable game tonight at Tulsa would really be a nice finish for them. And we are into, starting with this show, the final week of the regular season for men's basketball this week. The Shockers have 2 games, one on the road Thursday night at the University of Central Florida in Orlando, and then back here on Sunday at 11 a.m. to take on Cincinnati in the big rematch with the Bearcats. The Shockers, number 11 in both polls today, AP and the coaches, and Cincinnati, number 10 in both polls. So the showdown is set for Sunday, but of course both have games in midweek to take care of before we get to that. Coach Gregg Marshall joins us, and Coach, certainly almost a little stunning when you settle in and think about it that we are into the last week of the regular season already.
Stunning for you, Mike. It's been a while. It's been a long season, man. A lot of games, a lot of prep, but it does bring a little bit of a weird feeling knowing that we've got 6 seniors that are playing their last road game regular season, their last home game regular season, their last tournament coming up this next week. So a lot to look forward to.
Your feelings about how your team played in the 2 games last week, just overall 2 solid wins, Tulane here at home and then at SMU on Saturday.
I thought we were really good in the first half against Tulane. Coasted a little bit in the second half. I was not pleased with our defense. It seems like a broken record. We got a big lead, and we kind of coasted at that point, and they got confidence, and then they were hard to stop. That's the thing in this American Conference. If you let a team start making a couple of shots and they start feeling good about themselves, it's then hard to disrupt that rhythm that you've created because they've got so many good players that can create plays and make shots. At SMU, very pleased, a big road win. Obviously a team that's decimated from injuries and as well as NCAA sanctions. But in the end, we had some really good performances by Shaq, who's playing tremendous basketball. Marcus McDuffie played his best game of the year. I thought Austin Reeves was good. So that was enough. Landry was solid, and we got another big lead, and again didn't play great in the last minute or 2 against their pressure, but all in all it was a double-digit win, even though it ended up being 6 points.
And you're at that stage of the season, as we've talked about, that with all these seniors, they seem to be starting to recognize that they are getting close to the end, that every game's important, and not only just trying to win as many games as possible, but kind of enjoy every moment as much as they can.
Yeah, today was a good practice. I had a very good mindset. We went about an hour and 15 after we warmed up, and we left the weight room, then we did the video study, and then hour 15 on the court after the warm-up. So tomorrow will be a regular practice, and then we'll go pretty light on Wednesday in preparation for Thursday's game.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out to me about the SMU game, you'd played well in the first half, but your lead was only 2 points at halftime, and really came out and jumped on them, starting with they had a little mishandled ball they turned over. Marcus McDuffie turned that into a 3-point play, and you guys just really jumped on them right from the start.
That's one of the plays where Marcus McDuffie starting to round into form, because he did that. He's different from Tikel Cotton. Tikel would steal a point to wing pass every game and take it down and lay it in or dunk it. Marcus finds more creative ways to do that and somehow come up with a basketball or deflect something and get out in transition and score around the basket before the defense sets. He's good at it in a different way from Takeo, but when he did that in the second half and the way he had been shooting the ball in the high post and from three in the first half, and then he drove it very aggressively a couple times in the second half, I said, we're starting to get our guy back.
You had a situation last week, midweek, with the Tulane game that came up a little unexpectedly. Landry had practiced full scale the day before the game and then turned up at shoot-around really ill and ended up being unable to play that night. And that can be a problem no matter who you're playing against. But I thought Connor really picked up the slack that night and gave you a great performance.
You know, Mike, when you go into a basketball office, especially this time of year, it's amazing what sometimes greets you when you walk in the door, you know. And that was one of the deals that you just can't prepare for. Well, you can prepare for it by extending your bench and trying to get Samaje Haynes-Jones and C.J. Kaiser minutes in all of the games that you could possibly get them minutes, because injuries and sickness and things like that, foul trouble, happen, like in this first half of the SMU game. But yeah, it was. I expected him to play. I really did, but undoubtedly he had eaten something. We don't really know. We don't know what the actual cause of his deal. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if he followed up, but he's feeling better now. But it took him about 2.5 to 3 days to get over that.
And again, unexpected. It was sometime during the middle of the night, and I know at shoot-around you were still hopeful that maybe he'd feel well enough by evening to play, but the other guys, as you mentioned, stepped up. Connor running the show, which is something he hasn't been asked to do much until just recently, and then CJ maybe had his best all-around game since he's been here.
Yeah, he was good. He didn't cause any unnecessary angst from the coaching staff. He took care of the basketball. He made his free throws. He defended pretty well. But Connor Frankamp was the star that night. He just directed the show, didn't turn the ball over, was scoring at the three-point line, which we all know he can do, but he was also getting in the lane and creating shots and creating opportunities for others, and just was fabulous in lieu of Landry playing the 25 to 30 minutes at the point.
And I wanted to go back to something that you touched on a moment ago that really showed in those two games last week. I thought Tulane right now is in 10th place in this conference. That's a team with a lot of talent, and with all due respect to the league we just left, in my mind would be an upper-tier team in that conference with that talent, or certainly capable of contending. And then SMU, a team that's lost for now. Shake Milton and Jeray Foster's been out since the first game at our place, and that's still a pretty darn talented team that can cause people problems.
Yeah, I don't want to be a prognosticator, but I agree that Tulane and SMU would be in the top four, easy in the Valley. Now, I'm very happy that Loyola's done well. I like Porter Moser. I think they've had a great year, but they ended up dominating the Valley, winning it by 4 games.
Yeah, and this is a league with a lot of individual talent that even on teams that haven't quite put it all together to have a great record can be a handful any night you have to play.
No doubt. I mean, the thing about the American is there's probably, I'd have to really think, and I'm not talking about freshmen that may develop into pros. I would count Landry Shamet and others in our league, but there's probably easy 4, minimum 5, maybe 6 NBA players in the junior and senior class, and I count Landry as a junior because he's a redshirt sophomore. Guys that have played in the league 3 or 4 years, there's probably 4, 5, 6 NBA guys, including Melvin Frazier from Tulane, a guy that's 10th place in the American. That team is 10th place, yet they've got at least one NBA guy, and maybe more. I mean, they've got good players. Like Cam Reynolds was their star going into the year. I thought the big guy inside was really good. And they scored a lot of points against us and really started putting a lot of pressure on our defense in that second half.
You mentioned on this show last week that it was kind of a thrill for you to meet Mike Dunleavy before the season at the league get-together, somebody that you'd followed since you were a kid, and he was a college player. And now that you've had the opportunity to coach against him, obviously a guy that has got that program headed in the right direction.
Without a doubt. He's got good young players in the program. He'll probably have more on the way. He's using his NBA contacts to get some foreign guys. He's got some couple of African big guys. He's got the Serbian kid. And he'll find players, and then he'll coach them up. He's great in skill development, but I don't get to coach against many guys that have coached in the NBA. I can't think of any others other than Mike Dunleavy, but we're 1-0 against him, and I'm glad the game's over and we can move on.
All right, Coach, thank you. We will continue with head coach Gregg Marshall from AJ's Sports Grill at the Alley on our Monday night show.
I'm Coach Gregg Marshall. Making sure my family is well taken care of is important to me. So when it comes to their comfort needs, I trust Welch's Heating and Air to keep them comfortable and safe. Welch's, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning customer care dealer, offers award-winning service with a 96% customer satisfaction rating. I want the best taking care of my family, and so should you. Call Welch's Heating and Air today at 733-1600.
At Bell Mirror & Glass, we know our work reflects our family name, but we also know that what we do reflects on you.
For over 50 years now, Bell Mirror & Glass has created and installed nothing but the finest custom-made glass, mirrors, shower enclosures, and more for your family or business. Visit the gorgeous Bell Mirror & Glass showroom today.
And let what we do reflect on you.
Bell Mirror & Glass. For over 50 years, a reflection of perfection.
So you want to join the popular RV movement? Why not try it before you buy it at Ramsey's RV Rental in Augusta, Kansas? Ramsey's RV Rental has top-of-the-line towable travel trailers that sleep up to 8 for your next getaway, road trip, hunting trip, or tailgate. Small to large, toy haulers too. Many of Ramsey's RV units come equipped with state-of-the-art flat screens, kitchens, bathrooms, and more. Book online now at Ramsey'sRVRental.com, where you could say Ramsey's RV Rental has changed camping into glamping. Ramsey's RV Rental, 316-775-3637.
Your eyes are often the first to capture important memories. Dress them for the occasion with a new pair of glasses from Howard's Optical. For nearly half a century, Howard's has given you the look you want and deserve. Ask about the Ultimate Lens Package at any of their 4 locations in Wichita, Bradley Fair, Riverside, 13th and Mays Road, and their main store at 5405 East Central. Howard's Optical, a heritage of quality, service, and integrity. Visit howardsoptical.com, proud supporter of Wichita State basketball. Go Shocks!
People come from all over the world to shop at Jacob Liquor Exchange.
Ooh la la, look at the selection. One for every occasion. Oui, oui, c'est magnifique.
You've got to be kidding. We don't have this much scotch in all of Scotland.
You have more vodka than the Kremlin. When I want beer, this is where I get her done.
Jacob Liquor Exchange has the largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits in Wichita. We're right on the way and right on the price. Jacob Liquor Exchange.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. Again, our only coaches show tonight. The women's basketball team in Tulsa for their regular season finale, and we'll have that game for you right here just as soon as we leave AJ's. We'll go right to Tulsa to pick up the play-by-play with Steve Strain. Wichita State, as I mentioned at the outset, 11th in both polls today. Cincinnati number 10. Houston lost last week to Memphis, but stayed in the AP top 25 at number 25, 26th in the coaches' voting. All 3 schools being projected by all the experts as in the tournament. Wichita State had a 3 seed from Joe Lenardi his last couple of times. Jerry Palm, who's always underscored the Shockers, had him at 4. And Houston a 7 in most of those brackets, and Cincinnati a 3. So good to be in a league also that you're getting respect for the wins that you get in this conference.
Exactly. If you're ranked whatever Houston last week, 23.
Yeah. If
you're 23 and you lose to a middle of the pack Valley team, you're definitely out of the poll. That's one thing that's you can count on. In this case, you lose to Memphis, and they only dropped 2 spots. They're still in the poll. They deserve to be in the poll. They're a very, very good team. 3 teams that are basically locks for the NCAA tournament. If someone else wins the conference tournament, you get 4 teams in. This league is for real. But we've got a big week coming up, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But I'm just excited that we have the opportunity to play for a championship if we take care of our business on Thursday. We have to win both, but we have an opportunity to compete for the championship and the #1 seed. And there were times about a month ago we didn't think that was going to be possible, but here we are. It's going to be a very big challenge, but going to UCF will be a big challenge, and then obviously the game against Cincinnati, regardless of where you play them, is going to be a dogfight.
I mentioned those 3 teams that are all in the rankings and in the RPI. Cincinnati 11, Wichita State 13, Houston 21. Temple's 40 in the RPI. They would almost be on the bubble of the NCAA selections, and there are 7 American Conference teams in the top 100. So the league has really proved itself out. One other thing that is new this year, they've done these quadrants, and we talked about this last week, but with the Shockers win at SMU, that's a quadrant 2 win. The Shockers are now 13-4 against quadrants 1 and 2. That ties them for the 3rd most wins in the country against quadrants 1 and 2. So that's a big part of your resume, the way the committee looks at it.
Yeah,
You've done well against good opponents this year.
Well, and we've had an opportunity because of the league and the non-conference schedule that we played to play quite a number of them. As you know, when you go to Baylor and Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and the people that we played, and I don't know where College of Charleston is. They may be a quadrant 2 win. I don't know. I don't really understand it. There's nothing I can do about it, but we just try to prepare and win the games that we have a chance to win. So 13-4. If Temple wins 2 games this week and then wins 3 games in the conference tournament and loses in the finals, I bet they are going to be right there. Yeah. So don't they have to play 4 games?
Yeah, everybody but the top 4 have to play.
Without them winning the conference tournament, if they got to the finals and went undefeated until the finals, I'm betting that they're an at-large team.
That would certainly be certainly they would have a very good argument to be one of those teams, and that's one of the teams that people are looking at. It's interesting, too, when you get to this point and you've built the kind of resume that Wichita State has. I can tell you, we always get on the bus, and one of the first things everybody starts doing is checking their phone to see how everybody else did, the teams that you played this year. And Saturday was not particularly a good day. We got on the phones, and Baylor had lost, Oklahoma State had lost.
By 1.
We're just going through them. And Wichita State, rather than slipping in the RPI, ended up moving from 14 to 13 by the time it was all settled. So
I guess just winning at SMU, that's the weight it carries, despite the fact that they've been banged up and have the NCAA sanctions. Tim's done a great job with those guys. They can really shoot the ball. I'm talking, they make contested threes. That Jamal McMurray, oh my goodness, he can really fill it up. And Megaloo can do it as well. Just with 7 scholarship players, they're just battling. And, I think, they're going to be a really good program going forward. I think Tim will keep that thing going at a high level once he gets everyone healthy. Jeray Foster back from the knee injury. And is Shake Milton a senior?
He's a junior, but they're expecting him to
who knows? Hopefully he comes back. And I just think the league, and Memphis is playing some really good basketball right now. You talk about the team. Tulsa's the 4th ranked team in the league, and was playing really well against Cincinnati without their point guard that lit us up at Tulsa.
Right.
He did not play. So they were going with Joyner, the freshman point guard. Taplin. Taplin did not play. He had, I think, 20-something points against us and was basically unstoppable at Tulsa. So they're a good program, as we know. So we've gotten into a great basketball league, and we just have to continue to recruit better, coach better, and prepare these guys for a dogfight again every time we go out on the court.
And I might mention, if you didn't see it, Memphis hosted Houston in the midweek games, and Memphis won that game, dropping Houston out of a tie with Wichita State in the standings. Rainier Thornton, who's about 6'7", was shooting 28% from three for the season, went 4 for 4 from three. He's a 53% free throw shooter, went 9 for 9 at the free throw line. And that's what we're talking about. Some of these guys that are capable on any given night, and he is the player of the week this week in the American Athletic Conference. Shaquille Morris is on the honor roll this week.
I think if someone played better than Shaq last week, they deserve to be, because Shaq is really giving it to us. This is the payoff for all of these years we've been working with him and grinding and begging, and now we're getting the payoff. The kid is just playing so well, and he's so focused. And, you know, who knows? He could be an NBA player. There's people that have whispered in my ear, what do you think? And I'm going, man, if he plays like this, because he's so skilled, if he could step out and shoot the three, he could play the 4 spot in the NBA because he's so explosive, he's so smart, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't put it past him that he could make a roster in the league if he continues on this upward trajectory that he's on.
You know, you mentioned that, and I don't get to see a lot of the post-game interview stuff, but somebody mentioned before the show or before the game on Saturday that Fran Dunphy, when Temple was here, commented on what a high basketball IQ that Shaq has, and so that's something that maybe doesn't get noticed or recognized enough sometimes.
Well, he's been around the coaching staff quite a long time, and he's had an opportunity to, if he's had his ears open, and he does, he hears everything that we talk about, and he is very bright. That's the thing about Shaq. He's so capable of everything that we're seeing now. He's going to walk with a degree, no problem. He's going to be an all-conference player, and not in the Missouri Valley, in the American Athletic Conference. He's a potential pro, and if he doesn't make the NBA, he's definitely going to make tons of money overseas. He's really, really come a long way, and I'm so happy and proud. It's like a parent, you know. Just seeing him grow has been phenomenal, and he's carrying us now. He's able to carry our team, and in that second half at SMU and even the Cincinnati game, he was just a beast.
You know, in fact, I thought one of the things that really stood out about the SMU game that's almost another new little wrinkle to what he's doing was some of the rebounding and some effort rebounds where he was just ripping the ball away from people.
You know, middle of the year, he wasn't going to the glass. And I explained to him that, and everyone, that offensive rebounding oftentimes is a numbers game. You've got to send multiple guys, and then there's X amount of people that they can check out. If you send one, it's pretty easy for 3 or 4 guys to check him out. If you send 2, it gets a little more complicated. If you even, you know, the NFL defensive linemen stunt when they do a blitz or they try to get to the quarterback. Sometimes one guy will go left and one guy will go right. If you continue to work and make it a numbers game, then you have a greater percentage of times when you can just secure the basketball. And Shaq heard me, and now he's going. And that was the funny thing about the tit for tat with Rashard Kelly, because that's Rashard Kelly's thing. Rashard Kelly has one thing, and he's a great rebounder. He's also a good passer and kind of a point forward at times against the zone, but he's a great rebounder. And now he's claiming that the reason Shaq's getting all the rebounds is because he crashes first and because he's quicker because he gets there first. And then Shaq is the beneficiary of these rebounds only because Rashard goes first.
Well, as a coaching staff, that's a good thing to have. And Darryl also really goes sometimes.
They're buying into the numbers game. You got to get Brown in there, and you got to get Marcus in there. So the more bodies that you have to check out, and it just makes sense. But that's what I love about Shaq, because he's changed that. Because the middle of the year, shot would go up. If he was anywhere around the foul line, he would start drifting back. It's a lot easier to get back in defensive transition. But it's more effort now to work to try to get position on the offensive glass, and then sprint back and turn your body and have your butt to the baseline and be ready to support the ball in defensive transition if you go and change directions. But that's another part of his growth.
And one other thing that we never even talk about anymore is throughout most of his career, fouls were an issue, and he's just almost never in foul trouble at all anymore, even with the escalated effort that he's giving.
It's just greater attention to detail and not succumbing to fatigue, mental fatigue. when your mind goes, then your body doesn't react like the way you should. And how many fouls did he have even early in the year? I remember, like, he would be frustrated and tired, and the Notre Dame game, and there was one other game where he went for an offensive rebound, didn't get it, the other team got the rebound, and he would just basically tackle them in front of the bench because he didn't want to have to run back because he was tired. He hasn't done that in a while.
No, you're right. The Notre Dame game I'd forgotten about, but that happened for sure.
Oh, right in front of our bench. I said, that was a good tackle. Was he going for? He almost got the first down.
All right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back with more from Gregg Marshall. We're at AJ's at the Alley.
I want to make cars fly. I love turning old stuff into something amazing. I want to plant a garden for the whole world.
We grow up, but we never stop dreaming. Here at Coke, we challenge ourselves and the status quo to produce innovations like renewable fuel, more energy-efficient vehicles, and food for all. Because what drives us most is challenge itself.
Mexican spices? Nacho cheese sauce? They don't want these coming out.
Who's they?
The burger people, they.
Nacho fries, now serving at a Taco Bell near you.
Visit one of Green Vision Group's 21 locations today to maximize your healthcare dollars. Our optometrists and ophthalmologists offer full-service, personalized care for the entire family. Use your flexible spending and vision insurance benefits for eye exams, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, prescription sunglasses, LASIK, or other eye surgeries. Our vision is to help you focus on the moments that matter most. Green Vision Group. Never miss a moment.
Coach, it's the Patterson Legal Group. Someone's gonna pay.
Our client's been in a car wreck. Where's the insurance guy?
It's time to pay our client for damages.
They deserve more. There's lots of pain and suffering.
You really don't want to see us in court, so pay it all now.
Hurt in a car wreck?
Call the good guys. We're Tyler
and Gary, the Patterson Legal Group.
Call 550-0000.
Welcome the newest member of our X family of games, the Kansas Lottery Multiplier Super Ticket. Score cash and multiply your bundle of joy up to $250,000.
Two medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the...
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. Wichita State into the final week of the regular season with a road game at UCF on Thursday. Back here for Cincinnati on Sunday. We'll talk about both of those in just a moment. Coach, now 75-16 in true road games the last 8 seasons, 8-2 this year, so getting back up there to that 800 or better winning percentage. Best in college basketball over that span, and in a new league with even tougher places to play, you've kept that going.
Yeah, great players, great coaches, great scouting reports, tremendous mental and physical toughness, and I think it's become a deal where they actually like it. They like playing on the road. They appreciate the opportunity to go into a hostile environment where you have no idea what it's, how hard it's going to be, or people yelling things and people throwing things and people, questioning your manhood and your heritage and everything else, and having to perform. And our guys seem to really dig it. They embrace the challenge, and I'm so pleased that You know, I'm just along for the ride. I'm watching how tough they are and how the Memphis game 2 weeks ago, the team that you just talked about how well they're playing and the fact they beat Houston and they've won 4 or 5 in a row. We went in there and that game was really close midway through the second half, and we executed. We got great looks. I remember the one play, 3 straight times, we got a layup by Landry Shamet on a high post shuffle cut. And we beat a team that's really starting to surge now and play very well. So it's difficult to win on the road in college basketball, and I'm just very pleased and excited and proud of how our guys have performed.
And you mentioned scouting reports and preparing them. I'm not sure if we've mentioned on this show, probably, but it bears repeating that one of the things about this season that kind of got overlooked, I think, by a lot of people is you had 11 new opponents to prepare for in your league. In non-conference, you've always got new people to prepare for, but 11 new scouting reports to do in the league, while everybody else just had one, you, to prepare for. And there is certainly some change in everybody's roster year to year in college basketball, but when you get to know the returning players and the tendencies of coaches and how they like to play, it's a big start toward getting that ready for you.
You're exactly right, Mike. That's a great point, because I could go to the we don't have file drawers anymore that we used to have when I started coaching, but I could go to that file folder and pull out the Evansville Scout, because Marty and I came into the league the same time, and I had a great deal of respect for his motion offense, but it was the same for those 10 years. It didn't change. Just personnel changed. We had to make an adjustment for Ryan Taylor versus DJ Ballantyne, and DJ Ballantyne versus Colt Ryan. But other than that, I mean, the system was the same. So that was pretty easy. And there were a couple of coaches like that. We knew what they were going to do, just had to change the personnel. Here, you're right. We've had to go 11 deep in our conference. So there's probably been 16 or 17 brand new opponents this year at least, and prepare, and that's difficult. It's not so, because the second time you play a team, even in the conference this year, like the SMU Scout was pretty easy this time. The first time it was very challenging, and to be honest with you, I had no idea how slow they were going to play and how they were going to play that 2-3 zone, and they were going to mix in the 2/3 court pressure back to the 2-3 zone, and it shocked our guys. I mean, they really wanted to take air out of the basketball, if you will, and at the end give it to McMurray or Shake Milton and make a play, and they did that well enough to win the game. We knew that was coming the second time, and we told our guys, value the basketball, because it's going to be 30 seconds before you get it back, and you've got to make sure that we take good shots, get the ball inside first, and as much as you can, you do that. But if you've got a wide open look by Connor or Landry or Austin Reeves, another guy who's playing very, very well, they pull the trigger. And as a coach, that 1.5 seconds that ball's in the air, you feel pretty good.
You know, we talked about this pretty early in the year, but it's continued to be the case. You've also seen so many different styles and approaches this year. Defensively, you've seen way more zone than you've typically seen in years past, and even Baylor's zone was a really unusual zone that you don't see very often. Cincinnati's defense, their combination of zone and switching man-to-man is hard to read and different. And so your guys have done a lot of learning this year and should be able to prepare for just about anything at this point.
It's amazing. We even saw one possession of 1-3-1 against SMU. SMU plays zone. A lot of people are playing zone, and they're playing zone effectively. It's Central Florida. This week, they're gonna change from man-to-man, zone, matchup zone, and sometimes any of those three within a possession. We think we figured out, and Johnny listens to this show. I'm sure he tunes in every Monday. But if Johnny Dawkins listens to this show, we think we figured out that they show zone and they do their jumping jacks, and then on the second pass, it becomes man-to-man.
And the other thing is, we've talked about the defense part, but offensively you've seen a variety of things. Certainly Mike Dunleavy bringing the NBA spacing to his offense, and Tim Jankovic with an offense, even when he had everybody healthy, that's sort of no position basketball, sometimes all 5 guys on the perimeter at any given time.
Well, Mike Dunleavy has won a lot of games and as a player and a coach, and he figured out we're up 14, maybe 16 early in the second half. He figured out, I just got to play fast, and I got to let those athletes like Melvin Frazier and Cam Reynolds and the point guard, who I cannot pronounce his name, but I got to let them go. And that's what they did. They started beating us in transition. You know, we're thinking the game's over, and the game's far from over. And those dudes started getting the ball in transition. Like, they're not LeBron James, but they have the speed and the quickness of a LeBron James, and they're coming at you in transition. And we gave up so many layups in that second half. I was not very happy after that win, but we bounced back and we did a little better in practice, and we didn't give. But see, SMU's not looking for those things at all. They do not even want transition. If you press them, they don't even look to score off the press. They beat the press and then set it up because they want a lower tempo.
And certainly you would think that would help your guys once you get into postseason play, and everybody's new again, that they've had to look at a lot of different things and prepare for a lot of different things this year, that nothing should be too much of a surprise.
No doubt. And you know, it's a great time of year. It's exciting for everyone. I'm excited. I'm excited for this team. We're starting to play better. I hope we can continue through this week and then into the conference tournament and continue to evolve and get better and stronger mentally. But it's going to be an exciting time. We know we're in. The first thing is regular season championship, and that's this week, and that's all we're thinking about.
And we will talk more about that with the upcoming schedule this week with Coach Marshall when we continue from AJ's Sports Grill at the Alley.
In today's world, connections are everything, which makes your Wi-Fi even more important. With Cox high-speed internet, you can get the latest equipment and access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi. You also get the security you need to protect your privacy. And when you travel, we're right there with you, giving you access to more than 500,000 Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. At home or away, Cox has you covered. Learn more with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
What happens when you register your Cox account and get a user ID and password? You open up a world of possibilities for all your Cox services, like access to live TV and on-demand shows with the Contour app, and TV network apps to watch on the go. Cox Security Suite Plus, powered by McAfee, and phone tools to keep you connected when you leave home. Discover what you can do. Check out the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
With Cox high-speed internet, you get access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi to power all your devices and do the things you love online. And now, when you're traveling, you have free access to the nation's largest Wi-Fi network with over 500,000 hotspots, so you can stay connected in places such as New York City, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, and many more. Learn how with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn. In today's world, connections are everything, which makes your Wi-Fi even more important. With Cox high-speed internet, you can get the latest equipment and access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi. You also get the security you need to protect your privacy. And when you travel, we're right there with you, giving you access to more than 500,000 Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. At home or away, Cox has you covered. Learn more with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
What happens when you register your Cox account and get a user ID and password? You open up a world of possibilities for all your Cox services, like access to live TV and on-demand shows with the Contour app, and TV network apps to watch on the go. Cox Security Suite Plus, powered by McAfee, and phone tools to keep you connected when you leave home. Discover what you can do. Check out the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. We want to mention that Carlos O'Kelly's is proud to be a part of two great Shocker traditions, Queso Madness during the men's basketball tournament and Coach Marshall's annual food drive for our Daily Bread food pantry. Stop by any Carlos O'Kelly's in Wichita or Hutchinson beginning today for your chance to win an autographed Shocker team basketball while helping the coach fill the food pantry shelves. And keep voting on the also on the Infinity Coaches Challenge to benefit the Wichita Children's Home. Coach Marshall lending his name to a couple of great charitable events here in Wichita. On Thursday night, Wichita State is at UCF. University of Central Florida currently ranks third in the nation in scoring defense at 62.9 points per game allowed. Wichita State has now played 6 games up to this point against teams ranked in the top 27 in scoring defense, and in all but one of those, they have scored way above what that team typically gives up. The one exception was Houston down there. They give up 65 a game. The Shockers had 59, and maybe their poorest performance of the year. But he had 81 against them here in a game that could have been a lot worse. Coach Marshall got very merciful in the last 6.5 minutes. But it's one thing to average 81 points a game as you did last year in games where you're scoring 20 and 30-point blowouts, and averaging over 84 against some really good defensive teams this year.
Got a lot of guys that can make shots, have a lot of guys that can create offense for themselves or others. They're all very unselfish. We give them just enough structure, whether it be a set play or a breakdown offense, to stay out of each other's way, and the rest is up to them. And it's amazing to watch them operate when it's really clicking. And adding Marcus McDuffie to that mix with what he's capable of and his ceiling, if we can get them all clicking at the right time, which is in the next week or two, we're going to be a tough out. We're going to have to try to defend as best we can. We can't rely on getting 3 stops and 4 stops in a row and maybe being able to score on the other end to build a lead anymore. We've got to outscore people sometimes too, but it's a good combination because of the skill level that these guys have and the want to that they have to share the ball, as well as get stops on the defensive end, even though they may not be the best defensive team we've ever had. They're by far the best offensive team that I've coached.
And Coach mentioned that want to share the ball. The Shockers remain third in the nation in assists at 19 per game. And I thought as much as any game this season, or at least recently, there were some plays in the SMU game where guys who had wide open shots passed it up for an even better shot. Marcus McDuffie, who had been red hot, passed up a 15-footer to give Connor Frankamp a shot from the corner where he almost had time to kind of check his watch and everything before he shot it.
He did that in the first half as well with Landry. And today on the video, I stopped it and I said, Marcus, great job. Good shot for you. On the 3, he could have caught it on the 3. He shot fake, dribbled it on the baseline in front of SMU's bench, pulled another defender to him on the pull-up, and passed it to Landry for the 3 towards the top of the key for a great shot, a wide-open shot. And that's what we're talking about. Good shot, great shot. Share the basketball. When it's your time, burn it, but don't be in a rush. Now, I didn't quite get that message to Machine Gun Willis prior to the game well enough. He was a little bit antsy and a little rushed in the game, and consequently, he did not have a great game and didn't play a whole lot.
And we talked about all the zones you faced, and you have good three-point shooters, and there's that temptation sometimes to just start firing over a zone, but you've done a great job of exploring zones in and out. There were exchanges on Saturday where the ball would go to the high post in a corner and back up to the high post in the opposite side or whatever, and ending up with good open shots.
Well, that's what you got to do. But there's a fine line too, because if Landry Shamet or Connor Frankamp or Austin Reeves has a wide open toe-the-line 3 on the second pass, you don't want them thinking, well, I got to pass it a few more times. You want them going into it confidently, and that's the biggest key for a coach, is giving them the freedom, but coaching them well enough so that they understand when it's their turn, when it's their time. What is a great shot for me?
UCF is a team that lost one of the most unique players in all of college basketball, Taco Fall, who is 7 feet 6 inches tall. Those of you who were at the game here, he traveled with the team and was there in sweatsuit, and maybe the biggest human being I've ever seen in person. I saw Mark Eaton play once with the Utah Jazz, but without him, obviously they're a much different team, but they seem to be maintaining pretty good defensive numbers even without that shot blocker.
Yeah, it would be different with him because they just pressured everything on the perimeter so hard with him because he just stood there in the lane, and when I say lane, he's 6 feet away from the basket. He's still protecting the basket because he was so enormous and with long arms and everything. But we don't have to deal with that. That's unfortunate for him because not only is he a great player, but he's a wonderful human being, and I met him. Everybody says great things about him. Donnie Jones, who recruited him, says great things. So maybe there's a silver lining that maybe Donnie Jones has another Taco Fall in the pipeline somewhere one of these days. But the guy, it's unfortunate for him, but we have to play whoever they've got. So the principles that Johnny Dawkins teaches defensively with the switching defenses and going from man-to-man to zone within the possession, you just have to play basketball. You have to, like I said, give them a little bit of structure, then a breakdown offense, and be unselfish, move the ball, move players. That's what we have to do the next 2 games because Cincinnati's much the same way.
Now, I haven't seen much of UCF since they played here. I'd seen them on TV a couple of times, and I saw them once after Taco was hurt, and then the game here. It looked like they were playing a little faster without him in the middle offensively, and they've got some guys, B.J. Taylor, who was hurt for a while, is back and could score. But what's their offense like?
Well, I'm not going to call you for scouting tips there if you haven't been paying attention. That's the assistant coach's role. They're working hard. They're behind the scenes, grinding out. Kyle Lindstedt has this one, and I've watched them as well. I mean, anytime I can, I flip on a UCF game. They haven't changed much. They're doing the same stuff. B.J. Taylor's being aggressive. The guy that's playing really well is A.J. Davis, the 6'8" transfer from Tennessee, who we played against when he was at Tennessee at Intrust Bank Arena. I think he was a redshirt freshman at the time or either a true freshman, and then he transferred to UCF. But he's really shooting it well at 6'8" and driving hard left.
Something you just mentioned, I think your assistants do a great job on game preparation and scouting reports, but it is a mutual effort. Each guy has a particular team, and if it's in the league, the same guy will do that team twice when you play them. But you look at a ton of video yourself, and you know just as much about the next team as they do so that you can kind of collaborate on game plans and how you want to handle certain things.
I certainly lean on these assistants big time for these because they split it up, a third, and they if you have Connecticut, you have Connecticut twice, and if you have UCF, you have Connecticut, obviously UCF twice. But I also have guys like Devon Smith and J.R. Simon and people like that just watching film. You watch film, and then you bring me 1 or 2 things that you saw that were interesting, and then I'm watching film for every game. So, you know, I sometimes I sit at my house in the morning and I watch a game, and then I watch another game, and by the time it's noon, I'm still sitting there watching film. But I get so much better film study done on my couch than I do in the office, because once you go into the office, Pandora's box. You never know what you're going to run into. So I just want to study my guys, and then I lean on those assistants for, here's what I saw, you tell me what you want to do, and let's discuss it, and they come up with the game plan.
We'll be back to close things out with Coach Marshall. We do want to at least touch on the fact that the Bearcats are coming to Coke Arena on Sunday, and we'll be back at AJ Sports Grill at the Alley.
Two medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the Hut.
Sometimes the game of life can be challenging. A struggle that feels like there's no way out, or no one that can help. Whether it's you or someone you know, you don't have to be alone. Prairie View can help. Let our team of experienced mental health and addiction professionals help you build the strength and skills you need to live well and focus on what's important. With treatment comes transformation. Let Prairie View help you get back in the game of life.
I love Carlos O'Kelly's queso.
Man, that's what I'm gonna miss most about Wichita.
Oh, why the ref's taking our food?
Whoa, 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 we didn't double dip.
Looks like we won't be going to the monitor for this one. Carlos O'Kelly's queso is for everyone.
So how many quesos? 36, got it.
You don't have to be a Shocker legend to love Carlos O'Kelly's queso.
What do you think?
A healthy smile is a powerful thing.
Do it.
It deserves Delta Dental, the nation's leading dental benefits provider.
I love it.
It's all yours.
Really?
Yeah, the old car.
Learn more about our individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com.
At Red Wing Shoes, we guarantee a great experience. We offer 4 lines of quality items, making your shopping experience fast and easy. And if we don't have your size or style, special order with no down payment and no obligation to buy. Shop our wide selection of accessories, including hats, belts, and insoles. Experience the Red Wing difference today. Red Wings stand the test of time. And right now, ask about our payment plan for ACH. Red Wing Shoes, located at 6600 West Kellogg.
Windows and siding, doors and more. Windows and siding, doors and more. Windows and siding, doors and more. Call 265-5444.
Call Mid-America Exteriors, home of Everlast Siding.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. Just to recap, the Shockers number 11 in both polls today, 13 in the RPI. The prognosticators with the brackets have the Shockers as a 3 or a 4 seed. Of course, still a long way to go before Selection Sunday because we have 2 games this week to end up the regular season, then down to Orlando for the conference tournament. Just to mention that will be a little different. You have always been in a situation, been in a league where the tournament was the weekend before Selection Sunday, both in the Big South and in the Missouri Valley. So you could be playing in a championship game on a Sunday and then finding out later that evening, later that afternoon about your tournament assignment.
Well, this morning I woke up and Lynn was starting to pack for St. Louis, and I said, honey, you got to stop. We're not going to St. Louis this week, and we don't need to pack right now. She had the whole thing rigged, and it's going to be incredible. We have this. We're waiting 4 days: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off to play at UCF, and then a quick turnaround Sunday. Could be the biggest game in Koch Arena in a long time. Kind of reminds me of, if you'll recall, 2 or 3 years ago when you and I was 11th and we were 10th, or vice versa. I think they might have been 10th. They were 10th and we were 11th. When college game day, whoever won was the conference tournament, conference regular season champion, and that's what it reminds me of. If we can win at UCF, that's what it's going to come down to. I don't know if college game day will show up or change their mind. I don't know where they're planning on being right now, but there's not going to be a better atmosphere than Sunday morning at 11 a.m. in Wichita, Kansas, in the country, if we can win Thursday night.
I think that pretty much sums it up, and certainly we'll look forward to that. But right now, all of your attention on UCF on Thursday night. That one makes the other one matter.
Oh, without a doubt. That's the one you got to get. It's like I told the boys today, if it's like you want to play in the Super Bowl, you got to win the NFC or AFC championship game, and that's what we've got. We've got an AFC championship game, and then you've got a Super Bowl. And for me, winning a regular season championship, and I've always said this, you can recall, has more value, especially now that we're definitely in the tournament. If you're in a one-bid league, if I was at Winthrop or many years at Wichita State, we had to win the tournament to get in, then the tournament is the most important thing. But when you're in a multi-bid league and you're definitely in, to me, the value of winning a regular season championship when you've grinded like we've talked about tonight with all the scouting reports and the coaches doing the film study. 2.5 months of work goes into this versus 3 or 4 days for a conference tournament. There's no question a regular season championship, in my mind, has more value. That's the team that should be rewarded for the automatic bid, but I can't. Not one time has the NCAA called me and asked me for my opinion. I have so much respect for what Bill Self has done at Kansas. 14 years in a row, man's been able to will his team to a championship, and that's incredible. So that's what we're after.
Coach, thank you. We will be back here next Monday after the regular season finale. Coming up next, Shocker women's basketball at Tulsa in their regular season finale.